Welcome back to the survival podcast for people who take movies too seriously. I'm Johnny, and Shane is not sitting across from me today. In fact, there's nobody sitting across from me. I am here in the bunker by myself, talking to myself. It's been a very long 3 months. I'm not sure exactly where Shane is. He's at home, I believe, outside of the bunker, in his actual home. He may be buried under a mound of snow. I haven't had a great deal of contact with him this year, actually. So, yeah, after I finish up here, I might have to go and dig him out or something. But that's what we're actually going to be talking about today. By we, I mean some pre-recorded segments I done with some guests that have been on the podcast previously. Because if you don't live in Ireland, and most people listening to this don't, according to our stats, only something like 2 to 3% of subscribers are actually in Ireland. And if you don't follow us on social media, which, comparing our social media following to our subscribers, that is also most of you. So you should go and follow us on social media. There'll be links in the description. But yeah, so if you're not from Ireland or don't follow us on social media, or if you check out Random Irish News for some reason, I guess you'll know, but why would you do that? But yeah, so you won't know that we had quite a severe blizzard, snowstorm, whatever you call it, earlier this month. And actually our promised sort of more bad weather for the next week, but not quite as bad. I think it's an orange warning we have now, but it was a red warning at the start of the month, which you get very rarely in Ireland. We had a storm earlier this year in October-ish, and I think that was a red warning, and then one this month. They're kind of the only real red warnings I remember in the last couple of years. But yeah, so it was pretty bad by our standards. A lot of people listening are from places like Canada, Norway and Alaska, so it won't be bad by your standard. But considering the last time Ireland got a storm like this was 1982, we aren't exactly prepared for it. So whereas, you know, countries like Alaska and that, you got the infrastructure to support that kind of weather. In Ireland, we really don't. We normally just run out of salt for the roads, and there's probably like 2 snowplows in all of the country. So when it does hit, it can be pretty bad. And so I wanted to talk about that this week. I wanted to sort of catch up with some people and check that they were all right. I was hoping Shane would be on here, but it's been very difficult to get together for the podcast, hence why we haven't actually had an episode up in nearly 3 months. And some of the segments you're going to hear, or one of them, is done over Skype, so we could have done that, but again, it just, for whatever reason, it didn't work out. Maybe there'll be a part 2 next week, and we can catch up with Shane then, see how he got on, or maybe I actually have to go and dig him out, and then he can come back to the bunker at least, and we can have a sit down and talk about it then. But for now, here is Gordo, who you all know, I'm sure. He's from Those Conspiracy Guys. He's been on a few episodes. I sat down with him and was joined by our mutual friend, Mark. Mark has also been on Those Conspiracy Guys, and I think he's on a few Why Press Play episodes, which is Gordo's other podcast. That's one segment, and then I'll be chatting to Darren, who was on our Jurassic Park episode. And we do a few other things like on YouTube and that, but we talk about that in the episode, so I'm not going to go on about too much. The only thing I will say, for some reason we talked about Star Wars Last Jedi quite a bit, because I rewatched it because I was trapped indoors for a few days. So if you haven't seen that yet, there's some random spoilers maybe. I can't really remember, but yeah, so just when you hear us talking about Star Wars, maybe skip 10 minutes. And I'm pretty sure we don't randomly spoil anything else in it. But yeah, so what else is there to talk about? Nothing really. So yeah, if this is your first time listening, this isn't what we typically do, this kind of episode. This is kind of my go at more of an NPR kind of episode. But yeah, so this isn't typically what we do, but I just wanted to get content back out there because it's been so long and our subscribers are disappearing, and I'm still paying for hosting, and I really want to do the podcast, so I'm just going to put a bit more effort into just to make content when the normal option isn't available, I guess. But yeah, so this isn't typical of what we do, and for people who already are subscribers and listen to the show frequently, we will be back to the normal format soon enough. But this isn't a huge stretch from what we normally do. It is still just me and people that have been on the show before and friends talking bollocks. But a bit different in that we're not, we don't have a scenario. We aren't talking about movies. There's no real lessons to be had from this episode. If you would ever dare say that you learn a lesson from other episodes. But yeah, so we'll be back to normal soon enough. But for now, this is the year of the snow. Yeah, so I'm sitting with Gordo from Those Conspiracy Guys.
Hello, Johnny.
And Mark, who is also on Those Conspiracy Guys.
Mm-hmm. Hello.
What episode are you on again?
JP Morgan, and been on a few. I Press Play.
Yeah?
And just
Why press play? Lord of Mercy on that one?
Yeah,
no, it's coming
RIP.
back. It's coming back. I just had a really busy...
Better use the one I recorded.
really busy Christmas season. I have like 21 of them in the can.
Of me too.
Yeah,
Isn't there?
I've like 21 episodes in the can, but I just haven't got them out yet.
Stop teasing and whip it out.
I'm actually thinking about repurposing the whole show and just doing it without guests and doing it on my own, because it'd be way easier to make and then distribute. And it means I could do it when I'm on the road in America as well.
Yeah. You just do it when you're on the toilet. Like,
Yeah,
it's
it's
carry
very...
Zoom around.
But do it on the way back from the cinema. It's very difficult to do that stuff when you have such a big workload. Like I didn't know it was going to get so busy, you know. But nights when you're stuck in the house, you know, maybe even snowed in, it's a good excuse to just get that work done. You know, clean the grout out of the bathroom that you were working on. Or
You're so busy these days that it's like, I often picture it's like, how is Gordo going to turn taking a shit into another podcast? It's like, it's the only window of time that he's not currently working.
Whenever I'm taking a shit, man.
RateMyShit.com.
Whenever I'm taking a shit, that's when, if you ever get a reply to me on Reddit, that's when I'm having a shite.
Do you bring your phone into the bathroom always?
Always. Like, never not. What else are you going to do in there? Sit there and...
Look at the wall.
look at what the fuck is...
No, but like, I do find it's where I like have good ideas and
Yeah.
stuff. So if I'm not doing anything else, like I have epiphanies. Like
No,
so-
I have, I call them chimpanzee moments
right
during the day where I'll go out, and you know the way like chimpanzees would be just fluting around in the jungle, and they'd lie out on the floor and they'd get like a bit of a stick and chew it like a Southern American hick. And just like throw one leg over the other and their two hands behind their head, and they're just all like looking off into the sky, just thinking about shit.
Yeah.
Stoned ape theory.
Is that when you think about shit?
That's when I think about
When you're taking a shit, yeah.
the like the shower thoughts, as they're called. You know, these
Yeah.
the toilet moments. I have them like, you know, when
Do you
the
need more cohesion in
when the
your bowel
kettle
movements?
is
You call
boiling.
them shower moments.
Yeah, you just have to work it down the plug hole with your foot. But like I do that with when I'm boiling the kettle. I boil the kettle and I just be like,
Yeah.
and that kind of tonal.
Yeah.
Hypnosis.
100%. But now, like, I got an espresso machine recently, so it's really quick,
Ah,
and so I don't have those moments anymore.
yeah, I know.
I've gotten less productive now, thanks to Nestle.
I need something to occupy me, because my shit's come along in.
This conversation took a turn, really.
Yeah, when it comes along, you said about
Yeah,
toilets.
yeah. no.
TCG quality, always straight
Yeah.
to the dick.
They come
Or
or
the
the butt, but they come out. They come out in. They come like a public transport. You know, like there's one or two will come together at the start, and then you're waiting ages, and then like the one that you're actually waiting for will come after the 5 or 6 minutes.
I was waiting
Yeah.
for this to take a turn towards the point, but no.
No,
Well, it's funny because like Gordo set up a perfect segue to talk about the snow, and I
Yeah.
just brought
Let it go.
I just kept with the toilet talk, so apologies for that. But you did back to your segue about snow. So we had pretty severe snowstorm. Well, was it severe?
it
I don't
was
know.
severe. It was severe. A lot of people didn't think so. It was a red alert.
Yeah,
There's insurance companies all over Ireland that are shitting themselves because they have to pay out on wages and lost stock, and loads of cars got damaged when they were trying to drive in it because people are like, it's only a bit of fucking frozen water. But it's actually like there was 7-8 foot snow drifts, and
yeah.
do you know it was
It was
serious
pretty-
stuff. Like,
It was pretty bad in that department, I guess. Just when you compare it to other countries,
Even compared to other countries, I've lived in countries that have like snow environments in wintertime. And they have infrastructure like, giant trucks that'll clean the roads, the way the walls are built and stuff. There's not so much of a fetch. So in the country, you had like 8-10 foot snowdrifts because there was like 2 miles of clear,
open space,
unimpeded space where the wind would blow the snow up into these big massive hills. Like that doesn't happen in other countries because there's like breaks in the road and there's breaks. And, it's all built for it. So we're totally unprepared here.
I did see some images from down your way, Mark, where the fucking stop sign,
snow is covered. Standing on stop signs.
Yeah, in Wexford and all that, the same. Like, and if you go on a soft patch, like it happened to me when I was walking through Tallinn in Estonia, and at the site,
Tallinn, not Tala.
Yeah, Tala in Estonia. There's like on the highways, there's these like walkways. So like the highway has maybe a 15-foot drop all the way down to the road. So it's like in a gully, like in Terminator 2, And then up on the sides, there's like the walkway where you can walk home. And then there's like little bridges and stuff. So when you're coming off the bridge and you turn onto the path, you don't know which bit is the path and which bit is the snowdrift that leads to like a 15-foot drop. And I fell down there more than once. And you go down to that motherfucker when you're as big as me, and you'll go like 8-9 feet down into, and you hit compressed snow, and it's like it's like hitting a hard mattress from 9 feet. Like it's not pleasant. And then you have to find which way is up, and then you have to kick your way out of a 4-foot deep snowdrift to find yourself standing on the middle of a fucking highway. Like, if that was happening out in the country, some child is like, I'm going out to play, and then running along, it's like, is that a stop sign?
Like, do your little boy one, as if you fell in the snowdrift. Go on.
Help me! I'm after falling into the snow and it's freezing. My little rosebud penis is frozen.
So creepy.
Yeah, it's bad. But like
when you see it, like when you close your eyes, it's fine. But when you see you doing it,
I do the mouth. I do the mouth because it helps with the voice. But it looks like Quato from Total Recall.
He goes like Christy Brown, like he's full, like in his roll in My Left Foot. He like rolls his chin into his shoulder and like melts his face up.
The little fingers are
little
moving.
hands to get in character.
Yeah, like you squinch in and make your hand look smaller.
Yeah, because I'm a baby.
Yeah.
Whatever the creepiest thing you ever saw in the dark corner of a nightclub, that was just what happened there.
I'll have an aftershock, please.
But yeah, like if you have a small child goes out into that and they're walking on the thing and they hit a patch of fresh soft stuff that's not compressed, there's like whoop, and they're down 2-3 feet. There's no way the child's getting out of that. Like it'd be brown bread. So it was dangerous, and there was a red alert, and there was like I was supposed to go to the Open Minds conference in Waterford, which is a collectivization of speakers from all over Europe coming together to talk about, free love and the free love highway, politics and renewable energy and all these type of esoteric kind of, the hippy dippy shit they'd call it, the people who don't believe, there was like yoga people and people talking about like fluoride in the water and people talking about health and diet and
Quite a mix.
Yeah,
yoga, fluoride in the water.
Yeah, I mean it's all part of that whole esoteric business, but like that had to be called off. There was nobody working in the hotel. People couldn't travel. The planes were, buses.
The city was completely shut down for a few days.
Do you know what I mean? So it wasn't just the fucking snowstorm, and people are all like the memes that were coming up was like, Ireland, and it was like loads of people stuck in 10-foot snow, and like England, and there was like no traffic on the road, and it was like Amsterdam, and it was like cunts like skating on the ice rink, and then it was just like Finland. It was just had Wednesday underneath it. And you're like, yeah, you showing off, snow having bastards up in Finland, but like they were totally prepared for it.
Yeah, of course.
But to give context to your listeners, like, Irish people absolutely lose their fucking minds with like a centimetre of snow lands and that's it. Schools are cancelled.
Is it sticking?
Everything's
off.
off.
Is it sticking?
Is it sticking yet?
Is it sticking?
And then, there's no way back. We've never experienced anything even close to that. You gotta go back to like 84.
Yeah. Well, that was the last one. Like,
82,
I think. Yeah.
Like I remember one in the 90s, like maybe 2 foot of snow, but nothing as bad as that.
The one in 82, my mother actually got stuck on the dual carriageway giving birth to my brother.
Oh, really?
I still have a theory that that's why he's an asshole.
Is that your Is that your brother Snowy?
Well, actually, just on the last episode we done,
Snowy Mangan, huh?
the last episode we done, which was months ago at this point, Shane was telling a story about his dad, how like they had to abandon their cars on the Malahide Road in the 82 and just walk home. And when he came back the next day to get it, the cars were gone.
What do you mean gone?
There was no cars on the on the road, like.
The ghost cars of the blizzard.
But then they realised because we were walking on them.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're just buried in the snow.
And then the Ice King came over the top of the hill and was all like,
Oh, come at me,
yeah,
bro.
yeah.
But, yeah, so that was fairly bad. But, like, that happened this year, too. Like, there was car. I don't know if it was on roads. But
abandonment
In
of
Kildare,
cars.
it was
Yeah.
buried. Yeah, it was a Jeep.
Yeah,
But what's
yeah.
happening is people were driving into the snow and it's compressing.
Yeah.
And they don't realise, like, it's when it compresses like that, it's hard ice. So they were driving and it was collecting at the front of the car, and then the car starts slowing down and they're like, what? And then eventually they're just like up on a hill of snow underneath your car that won't melt. There's still bits of snow around the road from from people compressing it.
Yeah,
When you
yeah.
compress it, it retains its low temperature.
We're
Like,
going to be going to the park in a bit. Like, you can bet there'll still be snow around
Absolutely,
there.
yeah.
Like, because there's so much shade as well. But which do you think was worse? Because we had the big freeze in, like, 2 years in a row.
I think this was worse.
Yeah, it was more severe, but it was also like it lasted a few days. Whereas, like, I remember the big freeze just fucking didn't end until like mid-January. Like, it started just before Christmas, and then didn't end until the middle
The
of January.
2010 cold snap was the year of the man who slipped on the ice.
Yeah, yeah,
That was probably the coldest I've ever felt Ireland in my life.
yeah, yeah. Because I
That's
remember,
And I've been in like minus 40 degree weather, like minus 40 degrees temperature, but you're inland. And it's like a dry cold. It's not like Ireland is like a wet cold to get you right down to your bones. But like the dry cold, it's just like, it's minus 40 there.
Yeah.
But you can go out in a jacket and a hat and be grand. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
Like
This
my beard, I had a big, massive Captain Birdseye beard. So when I had a shower in the morning, if I didn't dry it properly and I went out, the hair would freeze and then it'd melt and it'd break all over my jumper. So I'd have like loads of bits of broken hair because it froze and broke.
Wow.
That's how cold it was. But you don't feel it inside your
no
bones, you know.
Yeah.
It's like scarf, gloves, hat, coat. You're grand. A thing that did annoy me though, when they salt all the pats, and it melts the snow mixes in with the salt, and then soaks up the bottom of your pants. But it leaves a ring of bleach around all your pantses, because whatever's in the salt, it bleaches like the bottom. So everyone's going around looking like they're wearing fucking tie-dye
yeah.
bell
Flares.
bottoms, like
see, I was mostly wearing like boots, so like
Yeah.
to be stuffed in anyway.
And boots are even dangerous. Like if you don't, a lot of people have a habit. Like if you're living in Eastern Europe or any country that has like snow on the reg, this habit that you have to get of kicking out the compressed snow out of the teeth in your boots.
Yeah, yeah.
People don't do that, and they're walking along, and the snow is getting compressed and compressed. And it's like, okay, you're making ice slippers for yourself.
yeah.
Get ready to fall, motherfucker.
You're just walking inside then on tiled floor with boots, and they get through the snow without slipping, and then they step inside.
As
and
in
they just-
whoop, yeah.
down.
So did you stay in Dublin or did you head down to Offaly?
I was in Dublin for it, yeah.
So how'd you find it?
Stuck.
I wasn't. Well, I was stuck in a sense, but I had plenty. Like I didn't need to go to the shop. Like
Food,
for
milk,
anything.
lube, toilet roll.
I had everything. I had like all my homebrew, everything. Didn't
Lovely.
even need to use
Nice.
the fridge.
Do you think that there's going to be like a baby boom in 9 months?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah,
There was lots of chilling
And Netflix.
on
thing.
Netflix, I assume.
Yeah.
yeah.
I would love to get the stats from Netflix.
Yeah, for that.
To see, right, because
day.
there's such a phenomenon on the Saturday and Sunday when you weren't, well, maybe the Friday and the Saturday, no one could go anywhere. Nothing was open, and everyone was off school and off work.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't leave your house. Right?
Yeah.
The homicide
was just-
rate, the Netflix
Yeah,
rate.
yeah. I want to see the crime. What kind of crime rates went down.
Except
And-
for the little robbery, but anyway. go
But
back
what
to
I
that.
want to see is the Netflix stats of TV shows that nobody normally watches. But when they were stuck in for like 48 hours, they were like, I'm going to give this a chance. And they take a chance on it and then binge the whole lot. So like previously zero watched shows that suddenly went vump and got a massive bump.
Yeah.
I want to see what those are because they're the hidden
It's
gems on
unfortunate
Netflix.
that Netflix never released stats. But you know,
I'm sure they can. I'm sure they have
Well, they just
their
don't.
own stats. Like,
Oh yeah, they of course keep them, but it's a policy not to release them.
all right. I didn't know.
Yeah,
Like Altered Carbon, Whopper. I watched Queer Eye Like all 8 episodes of Queer Eye. Did you watch that?
I haven't seen it.
As in, have they rebooted that?
Yeah, they rebooted it with 5 American dudes.
Okay.
And like I even know
Queer
all
Eye,
of
is
their
that
names.
Like Queer as Folk?
No, it's Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, where there's 5
I was
gay
thinking
lads.
of Queer as Folk as well.
They've rebooted
That's
that
what-
as well, though.
Okay.
I imagine that's the one that had not Gabriel Byrne,
Your man, though.
Littlefinger.
Littlefinger. They had Littlefinger in it.
Getting rimmed.
It's funny. I was going for some reason. I was going to go with CIA guy from Dark Knight Rises.
No. Yeah, we know.
Aidan Gillen.
Aidan Gillen. Yeah, Aidan Gillen's in Queer as Folk. And they have rebooted that. But Queer Eye is like 5 gay lads. One of them is lifestyle.
Oh, to give you a makeover.
Yeah, one of them is like clothing. One of them is like beauty and fashion.
This was
It's like the Power
this
Rangers
was a
of
severe
gay
story.
series.
It wasn't. I had that earmarked to watch. I was like, I'm going to give that a little run. And Claire was like, oh my God, brilliant. Can we watch that? And we watched the first episode. It was roaring crying. It was a man in his mid-50s who totally let himself go. He was sitting on this lazy boy in a small like basement apartment that you invariably find people who have committed suicide in. It's that type of place, you know. It's like you know, the Ice-T would walk in and go, "This motherfucker killed himself."
Shortest
gong, gong.
episode ever.
Yeah, and he was just like let his beard grow. He had like lupus, so all the veins in his face were he's like total like fucking prune plum face. He was just wearing like beige shorts, Timberlands, and like shirts that barely shut on him. And he's like just eating processed food the whole day. It was a fucking mess of a man in his mid-50s. And as the show went along, he was so happy and so sound and so nice. And then we found out that he was married 3 times, and his last wife left him because she's just like, he's a hopeless case. And he's like, she the love of my life. I just love her. I think about her every day. I wish she'd come back to me. And then these 5 gay lads came in, did up his whole apartment, did up his whole wardrobe, brought him to the fucking hairdressers and got his beard done and all this stuff, gave him loads of treatment for his lupus and changed his diet and did all this stuff.
Is this documentary?
It's like a documentary, but it's like a reality
Is it
show.
fiction or
No, it's
is it-
real. Like
All right.
5 dudes came in and changed this motherfucker's life. And on Twitter, one of the lads, Jonathan, who's like the super sassy one with the long hair,
He is.
who is the hero, right? retweeted this old dude's tweet that he got back with his ex-wife because she's like he cleaned up and he lost a load of weight and all that stuff. And I was like, oh my God, like waving my hand in front of my eye going, I promised myself I wouldn't do this. Like it was fucking epic.
Would you have been this emotional about it if you hadn't watched it during the snow?
I'm actually getting very emotional in the last while. I don't know what happened. There's like a dam that broke in my mind. I used to be almost emotionless. I think the last of the alcohol and drugs have worn off, and now I'm very. I watch movies and I'm all like, or maybe I'm just not hanging out with men enough or something.
Yeah, well, it could be as well like doing the podcast. You've been hearing from a lot of people who,
Oh yeah,
you know, maybe who say the podcast helps them and stuff. Like,
yeah, emotionally changes
I
their
would say you hang
outlook.
out with a lot of men.
Yeah, but not
a lot of men.
not as much as I used to.
Well, you live with a woman. So.
Yeah, and I hang out with her friends quite a bit, like, so it's a lot of female context, and maybe it's just, you know, the estrogen in my butt. I was wondering why my breasts are aching. I was
You're
like,
just
"Oh,
developing a healthier outlook.
maybe I'm just having healthy emotional responses to things.
Being human for a change.
Exactly. Not stuffing my emotions down like so
Deep
much
down.
compacted snow.
Oh, there you go.
But sorry,
So
this
good.
is what I was meant to say earlier when I was saying about Netflix not releasing stats. But Pornhub always does.
Oh, I'd say it was up
They
in the
must have released. I'm going to check. They
check
must have
Pornhub
released.
stats, absolutely.
Also, this brings up the Hawaiian incident.
What was that?
Oh yeah.
There was a text message sent out after somebody basically pressed the wrong button, which shouldn't be possible by design, but was possible and
Oh,
was done.
shit.
Pushed the button to send out a text message
The
to everybody in
missile,
Hawaii
yeah.
saying there's an imminent nuclear attack. Basically, people thought, and this happened about 8:30 in the morning, 8:15.
Thought Kim Jong-un had fucking...
Yeah. It's obviously it was a risk region, so that was a legitimate thing that could happen. So everybody just woke up to this text message saying like, "There's a nuke coming." You know, say goodbye, take shelter.
Fuck,
And,
go down, rob Target,
Yeah,
smash the
and
place
the
up,
thing is,
kill that guy you were planning on killing.
Everybody thinks like, oh yeah, you know, the world is ending. What would I do? And like rip clothes off, immediately fuck on ground. And I was like, No.
Leave
Pornhub.
out pronouns.
Yeah, no time for pronouns.
Immediately,
Like,
fuck on ground.
rock-based grammar. But yeah, everybody presumes that like Pornhub would just kind of the stats would go off the chart. They didn't. They like crashed through the floor. So there was like a massive drop. Wait, there was a massive drop as it was happening, and then like a redaction went out, and they said it was a false alarm.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. And the stats went through the roof. So it was like peaks and troughs.
The relief wank.
Yeah,
It was
the
just like,
That's
epic
it. Like
relief
they
wank.
had got so many endorphins running from the panic.
Yeah.
That they had to get rid of that energy somehow.
where do all my endorphins collect?
What
In
I
my
was
testicles.
amazed by that stat though is like even where it was before the scare
Yeah.
was really high, and it was like 8:30 in the morning or something. Like who's getting out of bed?
You know, on the bus on the way into work.
Yeah.
Like,
Having a wank on the bus.
what I mean.
I would almost guarantee you that the Pornhub stats were during the snow were lower than the average because the whole house is full of people. And all your family and your
that's a-
granny and
yeah,
your
yeah.
brothers and sisters. Like there was no like
right.
window of
Geez,
20 minutes when
my-
everyone's out of the house.
my
and you
mind went to it was like, oh, they're all fucking each other.
can- yeah.
And then you went family, granny. I was like, oh no, okay, that's not what you meant.
Yeah, it's not the fucking aristocrats or something like
That was like people at home, just like everyone's at home. So what else? Are you
I
gonna
can't find a stat for the most recent storm, but for Storm Ophelia
Yeah.
back in October, female traffic shot up 53%, and male traffic shot up 34%.
female traffic shot up 53. That's an
do? Gusty,
interesting.
windy,
Yeah.
stormy conditions.
Yeah, lots of low rumbling frequencies.
Dulcet tones of nature.
But so that's it's both are pretty high rises.
That's pretty
anyway.
high, yeah.
But I'm surprised, that the female traffic was higher.
So does this mean people are going to get into like inside trader things about like investing in Pornhub when bad hurricanes are coming
Yeah,
in and then dumping their stock?
I'm going to short Pornhub.
Yeah. Short wank.
Yeah.
Do Pornhub have their own cryptocurrency maybe?
Oh yeah. Jizz books. Man, jizz books are on the rise.
Titcoin.
Yeah, Titcoin. Yeah, that's better. That's almost better.
That's so good it might already be a thing.
If they can make Garley coin, they can make Titcoin.
Yeah.
I have one fan who's a friend as well. Northern Gord is his handle.
Yes.
And he's telling me to get into crypto. He's like, dude, take all the money from the GoFundMe and buy loads of
he's
of
mad
crypto.
into it.
He's mad into crypto. And I'm like, that's like gambling.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ever do that. I'm sorry. I have enough stress in my life right now.
It's
than
worth-
worrying about if a fucking like a fake currency is going to tank.
If you're going to do something like that, like take like 200 quid, but that's it. Like you
Yeah,
don't.
but if you're going to go do it, you go big or you go home. Like if I put all of the GoFundMe stuff like into Bitcoin now,
That'd
I
be
could buy one
absolute
Bitcoin.
madness. Yeah.
But in 6 months' time, it could be triple the value.
Well, that's it. Yeah. Like I mean, I bought.
Or it could be
Nothing.
But it's just so weird that people are still going, oh man, buy loads of stuff and you make all the money to go to America. I'm like,
BitConnect.
yeah, BitConnect.
Yeah.
I don't know if I do that. It can disappear in the morning.
I hope Northern Gord isn't investing all his money
I don't think
in
he
it.
is.
though.
I don't think he is. I think he's peppering around all the altcoins. But it's something that you do sit
He's just
around.
hoping you'll do it, so it's like the price. It'll cause the
Yeah,
price
that's
to go
another
up.
way to do it. Like the way to legitimately pump up one of them.
But it's
Just,
that's
get
like that's a
everybody you know
pyramid
to do
scheme,
it.
That's like
Yeah.
fucking Herbalife or something. But they're the things that you sit around on a day when you can't leave the house. They're the conversations that you have. Like stuff that you wouldn't even imagine talking about.
Yeah.
Because you're in close proximity with all these people that you're not usually in as long a proximity with for a really long time. Like there's adults in Ireland that were conversing with their parents probably on a
human
on a
level.
4 days of constant Christmas contact. Like even at
Yeah.
Christmas you can be like, I'm going
You can
up to
go
my
to the pub,
girlfriend's
like.
house, or I'm going to
I did-
Stephen's Day. Everyone goes out Stephen's night traditionally just to get the fuck away
Yeah,
from their
yeah.
Yeah, I
home.
did go out to build an igloo just for that reason.
Just to get
And
out of the house,
Even though
like.
I broke my back about a third of the way in, I kept going until about 4 o'clock.
So how many people were you indoors with?
One and a cat.
Oh,
That wasn't even mine. We took one sheltering from the storm.
Oh, okay.
You took in a snowcat.
Yeah.
Oh, did you keep it?
It was very hard not to keep. He really wanted to stay. It took like.
You're a
discipline
fan of cats.
I am. Discipline of iron not to feed him the next day. He was just like, he already thought he lived there. He basically started letting himself in, jumping in through windows and just sleeping in rooms. And it was like, all right, even though you're like kind of ferocious and you bit my mother's hand and infected her, and like you're pretty wild and crazy and feral, I'm just gonna like let you sleep there. And that kind of happened for a few months. And then when the storm hit, he just was like, I'm not going anywhere.
Did the pubs down your way stay? Sorry to...
Some are snowed in, some did open the day after. Or they're like, until the weatherman says we can't.
Everywhere I normally drink was still open.
Yeah, but they were closing at 9 o'clock to let the staff get home.
Yeah, but
at a reasonable hour.
But the fact that
like emergency services, shops were
weren't
closed,
open,
schools are closed, everything was closed, but pubs are open. Ireland,
I went into 3 pubs on the Saturday evening, and we only left because the pub owners went, "Get the fuck out! We have no more drink." In 3 places.
The
in 3 places. I swear to God, they're like, "Get out! We've no more drink." And we went into one place, and there was 3 lads sitting at the bar, and one of the scaldiest looking women. She looked like a rubbish bag had come to life, right? And she was they were sitting there with loads of pints in front of them of Coors Light that they'd bought in bulk.
Oh,
and then
they hoarded it.
People were coming in and going, "Can I get a pint?" And they were like, "We'll sell you one of these pints for €20. And then loads of people were like, "No, you're grand. I just go to some other place." "There is no other place." And you're like,
"We have all the drink."
And then it's just like good luck drinking that. You know?
Your
Places
warm
closing in
Coors
20
Light.
minutes.
The off license in Spar Friday evening,
empty.
Like, it was complete. The only thing left was Budweiser.
I know, it's like even in the apocalypse.
I went to Lidl on Saturday morning and walked through the snow, made sure not to slip. I got to Lidl, and for those who don't know, it's a giant supermarket chain. Empty.
Except for the safe.
But still standing.
Yeah. And there was like maybe some small bits of rotten fruit, loads of like biscuits and cakes, but no meat, no veg, no good fruit. No cheese, no milk, no dairy, no any kind of dairy products or any kind of juices, any drinks, any kind of cured meats. Like every bit was gone.
Yeah. When I was in Tesco, the only
except for Hovis wholemeal bread,
the British bread.
Every bit of bread in the whole place was gone, except for about 9 loaves of English bread.
Yeah,
and people were going on going, "Hovis. Get away from me with the Hovis."
Yeah, for listeners, bread and milk were the big items during the storm.
The only reason I left the house was to go get milk for tea. And then when I was out, I went to 6 different stores and none of them had milk. I was like, oh, it is a real emergency.
Yes.
But it just goes to show you how quick... We talked about it at the live show in the Sugar Club, man.
Yeah.
Like, there's 3 days of food.
The myth of the
in
food
Ireland.
chain, yeah.
There's one day of food.
It shows you that, actually.
There's 3 days on a normal day, but a disaster scenario
in
where
a
people want to stock up.
It's so fragile.
Yeah.
But like we were done. There was no milk, there was no food. Like literally every supermarket was empty. There'd be people breaking into cafes.
But also people were buying shit they didn't need, and that's what creates a demand. Like nobody, I saw people with trolleys with like 5 loaves of bread. It's like, who the fuck is going to eat? If you're eating 5 loaves of bread in 3 days, you've got a problem.
You'd be shitting shovel handles on Monday.
So yeah, the things that were missing out of the one I was in or things that were left was salad. So apparently people in Naas, even in the apocalypse, will not eat salad. And the other one was soy milk. So people were like, there's no milk anywhere, and they were like tearing down buildings to get it. But there's still, it was like, the soy milk there, fuck off.
Yeah. Soy milk is pretty awful.
For
dude,
health reasons, I drink
soy milk is like licking out your sister. It tastes kind of the same, but there's something weird about it.
Do you have it in coffee and tea though?
It's not good.
See, that's what I could probably...
It makes tea taste rotten.
Yeah, like I find that...
You don't like your tea chalky?
It rises to the top and stuff, and...
Cream of the crop doesn't eat a pig because the pig is a cop. Yeah, it's rotten though.
The water issue, like where every fucking bottle of water in the city was bought up.
But this is what I mean, like in an apocalypse, in a day after tomorrow scenario.
Yeah.
Have you done that movie yet on the show?
No.
The Day After Tomorrow. We might do that. It's one of my favourite movies. Jake Gyllenhaal.
Like an actual favourite movie or ironic? The way Mark's favourite movie is Con Air, like...
It's The Room.
Oh, well, yeah.
And
Con Air is a
one
notable
of my favourite movies. Yeah.
Okay.
Just for the Oh, look at that. Imagine.
Yeah.
Because there was loads of them that came out like...
You run a movies podcast, and that's like your movie insight. Look at that.
Yeah. But like, there's loads like 2012 and all of these apocalypse films that didn't really cut the mustard. But The Day After Tomorrow gave me genuine dread.
Did it?
Genuine dread. I was like, because that's how it could happen. A big tidal wave, and then it freezes. Do you know? And then like, you run away, and then the frost will freeze the door, but not the room inside. And I'm like, science doesn't work.
Personally, that movie left me cold.
Oh.
The scene where they run.
It did, though.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Isn't there a scene where they actually run from the cold?
Yeah, that's they're running in the hall, and then they shut the
Yeah.
door, and then the cold stops at the door and goes, the door's closed.
That's
I
like
better-"
M. Night Shyamalan, Heimla and shit.
Crazy.
And then they were like burning books in the fire, and they were going like, "That's the memories of our civilization." And it's like, yeah, but I'm cold. It was
That's
political,
like me if
you know?
Mum tells me to put the heating down
Wait,
and put a jumper on.
Yeah.
I'm like, but I'm cold.
Yeah. What's the point in having heating? We live in the fucking Western world here.
Pretty much.
Well, we got to that from you were saying about supply.
Yeah, the supply stuff. Like if a disaster happened like the day after tomorrow, we'd all be fucked.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's done in a day. In a day.
I did see
we
that.
were devoid of all food.
Yeah.
Of all food.
But, and this is my point.
like
that
the
a
snow
lot
was
of-
still out there
and a
today,
lot of
we'd
that-
all be dying of starvation right now.
And that's it. And it's because so the water thing. What I was getting at. So people bought all the water in the city during the snowstorm. Wasn't an issue that you needed water. If you did, there was fucking 8 foot of snow outside your house. You could
Boil it.
actually boil it. Like,
Yeah.
But then what happened a few days later after it starts to thaw and pipes start to crack, then there would start to be water outages.
Yeah.
And there was no water to be found in shops because a week beforehand fuckers had bought everything
I think
not
what-
needing it. You know, people create a demand, then when it's actually
Yeah,
needed.
it's so funny that simply the fluctuations in behavior caused a lot of those problems.
Yeah.
Like the one where there was genuine water risk in terms of supply, the days after, because people kept leaving taps on to prevent pipes from breaking.
yeah.
So there was people leaving
reservoirs were empty and shit.
reservoir
Yeah.
levels dropped, and there was a genuine threat where the water the cleaning process
Yeah.
plants, they couldn't produce enough water for the normal standard, and they had already dropped below their percentage of
Wow.
control. So it was
Yeah.
like there was an actual problem created.
Sure,
by
people don't know how to act.
people
That's
trying
the
to-
thing. Like.
Yeah,
But
people
that's
trying to
But there's
protect
loads
the
of
pipes.
countries that have that kind of weather all the time and are totally prepared and grand.
This is part of the argument of Irish people losing their fucking minds.
I
in
think
snow.
it was a quintessentially Irish problem. They didn't have these kind of problems in England because they
No,
still had
not
supply
really.
chains and all that stuff.
Yeah.
They had vehicles out to clear the roads to make sure the trucks got in for the Tesco's and the Duns and all. Our Tesco's and Duns and Lidl's were just
Dug out by
decimated.
hand.
They stopped delivering. They only
Just
started
decimated.
delivering like
on Monday.
this. Yeah, like this week.
But like done. And if it hadn't lasted any longer, could we have got away with it? The epitome of this happened the last time there was a big freeze in Ireland, and the whole of Ireland ran out of salt.
Yeah.
Like we literally didn't have enough salt to salt the roads, and they had to close the roads because they were too icy. Like we're underprepared. We're a cool, temperate Western margin country that has the North Atlantic drift that cools our waters and keeps our shores clean. Like we're not used to that type of weather.
And it's
So the argument is, should we spend a lot of money to prepare for a
Well, this is the
disaster
thing,
like
this
that
is-
and have a whole dose of tractors sitting out on the Naas Road waiting to go up and down the M50
That's the thing about us being
with
small. Is
fucking things on the front of it, like the troughs to push the snow. Like that's a lot of expense.
that's the thing about the small economy is that we so many things collapse in scale if they get placed
Yeah.
in Ireland. And the thing is, as soon as the snow hit and everything got really big, and there was loads of people going around going like, "Oh, the council hasn't even cleared their own car park. Who pays the rates and all this
Yeah.
stuff?" And it was like, if you want to pay enough rates to keep a snowplow in Kildare, your rates are going to go up quite a fucking lot.
Yeah.
And you're going to give out about your rates.
Of course.
At which
So-
point the rates will be lowered. They'll get rid of the digger, which is what they did actually in Kildare. And then the snow hit, and they were fucked because there was no snow digger. So, and then this problem happens seasonally, year on year. So the same thing happened with the salt, where they had a load of stockpiled salt. It wasn't used something like 2 years in a row, and they eventually, I think they resold it
They sold
back.
it back, yeah,
they
yeah.
sold it back to the supplier. And then we had like the big freeze,
Yeah.
and there was salt needed everywhere. They had fuck all, and they ran out, and they were like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's
Who
real. Like,
sells salt back?
I know this is like free market. This is like
Fuck's sake.
neoliberal politics.
but
it's just
the-
like the resource was needed elsewhere, so they sold it.
My
Yeah,
brother,
yeah.
my brother
It's
lives
the
in,
beauty
lives
of being
in
in the EU. Like.
yeah, but my brother lives in Bray, And he used to live in Canada for like 7-8 years. And they have snow. And they have a kind of a little socialist thing going on over in Canada. But they have a very socially conscious population. So what everybody does, whenever it has a bad snow, you go out and you clear the fucking snow out of your driveway and off the public footpath in front of your house. And everybody does their own footpath, so all the footpaths are clean. And he did his and took a picture of it and showed it, being a good Canadian citizen, I'm in the habit of cleaning off snowy footpaths. And he did next door's one on either side as well. And then the whole rest of the road is just covered in shite and snow. So all you have to do is go out with a little brush or a shovel and go...
That's so funny because I was.
And if everybody did that, no one would be slipping on.
Yeah.
This is so funny because like I was in the exact polar opposite world. On my road, which is like a cul-de-sac full of old retired guards, they all cleared their driveway except for me. And I was living in the house like pretty much on my own. And I was just like, look at these fucking Egypts. They're all like 70. They're out there breaking their holes, clearing out driveways every day, like 4 days in a row.
Yeah, because they're 70, dude. They don't want to. If they fall, it might be their last fall.
That's it. You're hip.
And
you're not
your
coming
house is now earmarked for a drugs raid at some point. So be careful.
Oh god, but
that's just a test. Like whoever doesn't,
you're bad. You're the shitbag on the street. So the thing was, like, every day they were
it's like
clearing them
whatever
out.
house didn't get egged at Halloween. It's like, well,
We know.
So they were all clear except for mine, and I was just kept looking out every day, and I was just like, he's fucking 74. He's like 72. He's like 68.
But they're working
like,
dudes. They don't mind a bit of work, man. They don't mind a bit of cold.
That's the thing. You're always talking about digging holes and filling them in for the council.
Yeah.
This was lads literally digging holes, like,
But
and then
maybe
whilst
their
being
wives were
snowed on.
coming home and they were like, I don't want to have to pay for a titanium hip for Mary, so I just fucking dig a bit of snow. Also, it's something to do in the daytime.
that's more.
It's more that the lads were out in the cul-de-sac going just like, "Jez, it's awful. Oh, that's not great." No, and it's just that was basically the talk
But, like,
all day, every day.
How many miss working? Like,
Yeah,
How many
pretty
people
much.
do you think went to the supermarket and stocked up on loads of stuff? Okay, loads because the supermarkets were empty. How many people do you think bought stuff in that massive supermarket surge and then went up with 2 litres of milk and 2 loaves of bread and a bit of ham and a bit of cheese for, Dolores up the road who's 72, who couldn't get out in time and who may or may not be able to afford to turn her heating on, and she might be freezing up the house. How many people in Ireland do you think went up and took care of those people?
in the country there'd be a
We
lot.
did.
A lot?
I did as well. I went over to
But
my neighbour.
in Dublin, would there have been many, do you think?
I think there would have been a bit, but no, I won't. People don't know. Like in Dublin, you might not know that there's a
there's more-
70-year-old woman living across from you. Whereas in the country, everybody knows there's bridges.
And even within Dublin, there is that sort of like disappearing community, but there used to be a very present community. So the older people would tend to be very community orientated, particularly in patches. Like I got that a lot in the kind of north when I lived on the north side. Those people tended to, like, the old ones kind of all knew each other. They all talked and they all kind of know mass. So there is a bit of a parish mass thing going on. They would kind of know each other. There would still be an old Dublin community. But like in newer generations, you could live here and not know your neighbour for 7 years. Like,
I mean, we've been to like parties next door, and they've been here. I still don't know what their names like.
pretty much. Me too. But yeah, I ended up calling over to my neighbour, bringing her biscuits and tea, and making sure she was okay, and trying to like really test that kind of that answer. Like, do you have milk? It's like, I'm grand. It's like, oh, it's like, do you have milk?
I
Like
want some of your
waterboarding her.
milk.
Like, do you have milk?
You arrived at the door and she opened it up and she's like,
Oh, finally, I'm going to find out what this Netflix and chill is all about. Come in, Mark. I have a hot cup of tea for you.
I ended up leaving a tin of biscuits on her doorstep. just
Yeah,
to make
you
sure she
did.
was all right.
blew your biscuits all over the doorstep.
So, what did you think when
She
you?
won't listen to this show, don't worry.
What's this podcast you were on, Mark? Talking about biscuits.
That's about fishing.
Okay, so we'll catch back up with Mark and Gordo a little bit later in the episode. But now I want to cut to Darren and myself on Skype. So the audio quality is a bit poorer here, but not too bad. Better than it has been any other time we tried to do Skype for an episode. So from here on, we'll probably cut between the two conversations. That is the conversation with Darren and myself, and the conversation with Gordo and Mark, because there's some crossover in the conversation that makes more sense to kind of cut between the two. So hopefully that isn't confusing. It shouldn't be. Oh yeah, and I said at the start of the show about like Star Wars spoilers. There was actually much more than I anticipated, and just like a ridiculous conversation about Star Wars 3 months after it was relevant. So I just cut most of it out of the episode, so you don't need to worry about skipping. So Darren,
Johnny.
to people listening, you will know Darren from the Jurassic Park episode, but also a secret episode that may or may not be out there on the internet by the time this episode's released.
Oh.
You joined us briefly as our sound man on an episode that never made the air, or it didn't yet make the air, but...
Yeah, it's not that it didn't make the air because I was the sound man.
No, sorry, to clarify, it was...
I thought I did a pretty good job. Like, I was coming over to talk about The Lost World, and then you were talking about nukes, and I had nothing prepared.
No, it didn't make the air because it ended up essentially... The things we talked about in that episode ended up being our live show, and we're like, well, we can't release this while the live we didn't want to release it before or directly after the live show, and then it just got to a point where we haven't done a podcast in 3 months, and I was like, we can't randomly release this episode because it's kind of like it's a joke episode with like the joke about you being a sound man, and I was just like, this would be a really, because a lot of new listeners have come over, and I was just like, this will be a really weird first episode.
Absolutely.
So it just
throw them into the chaos.
It just became, it exists, but I'm going to put it's going to be out there. We might put it on like a compilation of our B-sides, which I just like the idea of having a B-side album. I think that's because I'm not sure if you're not insulted by that, are you?
No.
But you're already on you doing the Jurassic Park episode.
I did, yeah.
You're already on the A sides.
So you could say that I'm dominating both sides.
That's exactly what I'd say. Because I don't know, I've never seen a podcast release a B-side album before. we might be the first. But only because we're probably the first podcast who like warrants having a B-side, because there's so many of them.
Well, you said you wanted to get onto like doing new and exciting things, so this could be it. Like this could be your USP.
Reinventing podcasts. But anyway, yes, so the reason you're here is not to talk about our our shows that weren't fit for iTunes. No, we're here to talk about the snow, to check up on you, to see how you got on during the big snow, as they're calling it.
Well, I like to call it Christmas 2.
Second Christmas. Yeah, it was. I got on pretty good actually. That probably doesn't make for great content though. No, you didn't get snowed in or anything. I know, I did. No, it was brilliant. Like that's what I mean. I like that because it meant for. Oh, let's see. Yeah, 5 days I didn't have to do anything. Nice. And because I live up on a hill as well, it's quite steep. No one could get up to us either, which was kind of cool. Well, I imagine it must have been quite severe where you are, because you're I'm not giving away your address or anything, but you live on the coast, very much so. It must, like, how were the winds out where you were? Yeah, it was the wind was pretty strong. It was the snow. Like, there was obviously a lot of snow, but I think definitely the further inland you went, I think it was definitely a lot worse. Well, yeah, that's where, like, you have you seen those pictures from fucking, like, Kildare and Wicklow?
Well, I was about to say that I was in Kildare all the following week. I had to go down every night, and the place was just covered in snow. Like, I had to go to Naas.
Yeah, and like there was stop signs on the street covered in snow, like as in like the you were walking on top of the stop sign. Oh yeah, and every night I went down there, I basically just like the parking was basically a free for all, so I just had to abandon my car on a mound of snow and hope I didn't get clamped, and I didn't, because obviously like there was no choice. You just had to sort of do what you had to do. But yeah, they got hit bad. So where you live, did you, because I would imagine the winds were stronger there, did you lose power or internet or anything? No. I thought at one moment I thought we were going to, things started flickering, but then thankfully it didn't. So it actually kind of worked out well. I sort of just stayed indoors and
We went out for a walk down to the shop. So one of the there was a shop near us that actually opened, and sold a few things just for a few hours during the days. But they obviously didn't get any deliveries in or anything like that.
Yeah. Did they have much left in stock by the time you got there?
No, not really. There's like they were down to just bringing out all random things of cider. All the Guinness was gone, Johnny.
In the spar down from me, I went down there with my housemate on the Friday night, and the off license there, which is it's a spar. Like, they tend to have very big alcohol sections, and it's a big spar. It was completely empty, with all bar one beer, Budweiser.
Ugh.
There was only now maybe I think there might have been like a few of the off-brand ciders you do see, like no Bulmers or Orchard Thieves, but a few like maybe craft ciders or that people didn't. The only reason people didn't buy them because they didn't know what they were. But the only like brand name that was left was Budweiser, and there was quite a bit of it. Which
I don't know about you, but I don't associate like cider with snow.
No,
I don't think a lot of people do. So when I walked in, I saw them just like bringing that out and loads of white wine and putting it out. I was like, God, it's really getting bad.
Yeah,
there was some ale left, so I got them.
It was actually I had like because I had just thankfully one of my craft beer supplies had just came to fruition. So I had that. It was actually nice as well because I'd done the thing where my backyard, instead of like because I had so much beer, I was like, well, I can't take up all this fridge space, so I'll just go outside and I'll just dunk it in the snow. So I just had my backyard was lined like a Christmas cake decorations.
That's pretty cool.
Bottles of beer sticking up. But then it snowed again that night, and I couldn't find half of them. So for the next two days, I was pulling up bottles of beer out of the
like a
snow.
little treasure hunt, like. That's pretty cool. Did you like when the snow cleared? Were there still a few bottles left on the grass?
No, I think I found most of them, which just goes to show how much I drank over those 5 days.
Oh yeah, it was pretty. It was good. Like I said, there was nothing else to do.
There was absolutely nothing else to do. I watched all of Westworld, a show that I didn't even like to begin with, but then I learned to like it because it was kind of the only good quality TV I had. I rewatched The Last Jedi, which I never thought I'd do, but I did.
That's funny enough that you mention it now, because it's for some reason started popping up in my recommended videos on YouTube again, just people giving out about it, and I don't know why. I don't know what I watched that is.
Do you know why that?
This,
Do you know why that?
Why was it you?
Yeah, because you use the Open Bottle channel to watch stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's because I rewatched it during the snow, and so afterwards because I had just like logged on to the Open Bottle page to check like our recent videos, and I ended up watching a bunch of Last Jedi commentaries. So that's why.
There's nothing like watching like an angry rant on a film that you didn't like as well, and you're sitting there listening to it going, yeah.
I want to hear people to back up my own opinions and give me new ways to articulate my thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. Which I will forget when I'm in the pub, or I'll badly paraphrase and then realise I've walked myself into a corner, and I'm there. Then I'll just start lashing out aggressively. That's why it normally goes down with me. Like.
This is what I spent most of the big snow thinking about.
The big snow.
But so that's what it does to a man.
Oh, we have like a small baby in the house, so we had one thing we found was we had to change his sleeping area. I know this is a really hard segue, but just wanted to get back in.
Yeah,
I went to because I will go on about Star Wars for hours.
That was one of my questions for later too.
Oh,
so
okay.
Good thing.
Do you want to ask the question and then I'll.
No. Well, I'm not going to do that much editing. But no, it's an interesting point. Like, so you're a new father. Like, it's quite a different scenario than anyone else I know.
Oh,
that has faced the big
obviously
snow.
It was grand because like none of the pair went in. But the only thing that we found was we just had to move where he was sleeping, because he sleeps in the bed. At the moment, he's in the same room as us, but the temperature in that room, just wherever it is, it faces in the house, it's much colder in the bedroom than it is in the sitting room.
Yeah.
Or the living room.
You're at the back or whatever.
So it actually worked out well. My wife would go to bed and I'd stay up, keep him in the sitting room with me. I usually stay up to about 6 or 7 and just play Xbox with my brother. And
Do you actually
just talk on Xbox Live. And
do you actually stay up that late?
Yeah, I did. I like sometimes I'd doze off on the couch. I mean, he was asleep in a basket, like, and he might wake up occasionally just to feed, but then he'd go straight back down.
Would that be a normal time for you, like when you're not working? Like on a weekend, would you stay up to that time normally, or is that just during the snow?
I used to easily, like, and it's not even just because the kid or something like that. I'm like, oh, I'm so tired. I don't know if it's just because as you get older, you just want to sleep more. Like,
well, I found
like I generally would stay up late. Like, yeah, because I don't know, I just like it, and it's like it's funny. Like, this is my time now to do something.
You see, I find like either staying up late or getting up really early, like before anybody else has gotten up. Even if I'm not like living with people, it's just like knowing that it's the hours where very few people are awake. I feel like, wow, this is my time, and I feel like I work a lot more. Especially when I used to write a long time ago. I used to either if I stayed up. If I started writing at like 1 a.m, I would do loads. Or if I woke up at like 5 a.m. and took my laptop down to the sitting room at like the crack of dawn, I would do loads too. But at any other time, I'd just be sitting at a computer looking at a screen. So yeah, you're probably like me in that. I just like those hours where nobody else is awake.
Yeah, 100%. I'm trying to really remember what else happened during it. Like, it was very uneventful on our end. It was just really nice though, because it was like, you know, no one's expecting anything of you.
Yeah,
a lot of work for me was cancelled and stuff, and you were kind of like left hanging, waiting to see if it was going to get cancelled. But I mean, you knew it was going to get cancelled because everything was
the city was closed
snow.
down.
And the government was telling people don't go outside. So
did you check up on family and friends and stuff?
Yeah, I was talking to them like every day, just what's going on. Sorry, I didn't get in touch with you, I don't think, did I?
I think we were talking on Discord, so...
Were we? Oh, well, we probably were.
Oh, I think so.
Probably trying to book recording dates or something, were we?
Well, have you heard from our mutual friend Shane?
No, actually.
Yeah, see, I'm not sure if he could be buried in snow for all I know.
Oh, God.
Well, no, he's definitely alive, or at least somebody has his phone because he replied to some stuff, but I haven't had a proper conversation with him. Actually, I don't think I've actually had a proper conversation with him maybe once this year, so...
Well, the snow changes you, man.
That's it. That just filled anybody listening to this with confidence that the podcast is going to be back normal. Like, imagine you're listening to any other podcast where they say like, "Oh yeah, I haven't heard from the co-host in 3 months." There was a huge blizzard. He may have died in it. I don't know.
Nah.
It's really funny because the last proper episode we recorded that went up was called Winter Survival, where we're talking about this type of stuff and talking about how, well, we don't really need to worry about this. It'll be a grand winter.
That's pretty funny.
Which it kind of was, because technically, I suppose we're having a bad spring.
There you go.
That's the weirdest thing. It was fucking March when it all hit.
That happened before, though, as well. It was, or maybe it wasn't.
Was it like? I think it was like
2001 or something.
Oh well, there was the big freeze. There was 2010 and 2011. 2 years in a row we had the big freeze.
Yeah, but no, I'm not thinking of those ones.
Oh, okay.
There was one much when we would have been much younger. I think it was around 2001. Now I don't know it. It snowed like mad in Dublin. I don't know. I can't remember what it was like the rest of the country because I
because I'd have been
was a teenager. I don't think I would have even been thinking.
I don't think I'd have known there was counties outside of Dublin at that point.
Yeah. I was just thinking that I had a few days off school. It was great.
No, but I do remember that, yeah. Because I think I would have been in like second year or third year at the time. And it was a bad winter.
Yeah.
And it was like the first kind of proper bad winter I was around for.
Yeah, the power went then for us, I remember. It was a bit annoying because after a while the novelty wore off and you're just sort of just sitting in the house. Your mother's just in bed and you're just like... even when you know she's given up, like, it's just...
Yeah. You can't even drink in the house. Like...
yeah, you're too young.
Because now, like, I couldn't give a shit if the electricity and the power went, because I'd just be like, alcohol, it's grand.
Looks like we're drinking earlier.
Were the pubs opened around your place?
One of them did, that I know of. It was the one that you would have been in.
Okay.
But then they closed. I think early enough then when they realised that, because I think at one point it looked like, oh no, it's actually grand, and then they closed because they were like, no, actually no, it's actually only hitting now for reals.
Yeah, like a lot of them closed to allow the staff to go home. But like, there's a few pubs around me. There's one especially just down the road where it's a family-run pub, and they live beside it, so they just stayed open. They stayed open until the alcohol ran out.
Well, I heard the first night on the Wednesday, everybody basically went home from work early, and then in the town where my parents are and my brothers are, apparently everyone just went down to the local pub there and just like stayed out late at night, and they said it was like Christmas Eve, like everyone was just out in the lash, like going mental. Like, and then the next day I was talking to them, they were all like really, really hungover.
I love that.
I was incredibly jealous. Like,
yeah. A lot of people did start treating it like it was Christmas. Like, so for the listeners, Christmas FM that starts up here during Christmas. Christmas FM started up again during the snowstorm.
Oh, it's brilliant. And what else did we do? Well, when we saw it coming, we went and stocked up on Easter eggs as well.
Oh, you've got a special relationship with Easter eggs, don't you?
Mm-hmm. It's all because of Super Value's 3 for $5 deal.
And was there any criminal element out your way during the snowstorm?
No.
Because that seems
there's none of that carry on. Like, I was wondering, was it like if it went on for a few weeks, then would people start looting houses or something? Like, when would that side of things kick in? You know.
Well, I assume at this point you've seen what happened out in Tala during it.
Yeah. Yes. Are you talking to me or the listeners?
You.
Okay. Yeah. No, I did. Yeah.
I'll fill the listeners in between.
Oh, yeah.
When this plays, it'll cut between the two segments.
What did you think of the mini crime wave that we saw?
I don't know enough about it to say.
Hilarious and grim in equal measure.
I don't know enough about it to say, but I do say that a lot of people vilify a lot of people that didn't need to be vilified.
Yeah.
To explain for listeners, a chain of supermarket. Well, there was a few different little small crimes, but the big one was Lidl, which is supermarket here. It's all over Europe. Yeah, actually, they're in America too, aren't they?
Yeah, I don't think they're called Lidl though. I think it's like Farmer Joe's.
Oh yeah, something like
Trader Joe's.
Trader Joe's, yeah.
That's it, yeah.
But so it was pretty much fleeced. But then somebody got into a digger and knocked it down.
Someone broke open the shutter partitions that were on the front doors and smashed in the glass. And they were saying initially it was teenagers, but it was actually men in their between 20s and 40s.
Yeah,
and they all went
in
and
video.
robbed money out of the tills, robbed money out of the office, robbed food, alcohol, mostly alcohol, and some of the higher ticket items.
And then things escalated a bit.
Yeah, somebody robbed a JCB earth mover
and went for the safe in the back office. So
Yeah.
a lot of these places would be kind of they're all kind of built by a blueprint. They're all kind of the same. They're all laid out the same. So as people kind of know that's the back office, and they would know that has the safe. So they went after that corner of the building and started tearing down the kind of part of the wall and the roof, and to get through to the safe. And then they got the safe out. And then they were lifting the digger up and down, smashing it on the safe, trying to crack the safe open. Then they went and got like power tools. And I was sitting there and going like, what is the Garda response time here? What's the police response time? I was like, well, that's the thing. That's the thing they were banking on. Was
and they're out like far away from the city centre.
Yeah.
But it's still in a place that's a pretty big population. So
Yeah.
200,000 people live out in Tala. Like,
But obviously, it was just like, you know, the roads were like just awful, so they couldn't get out. So, but that, I guess they were banking on that because they spent obviously to have tried so many different methods and to still be going at that safe. And as far as I know, they got some of it open.
they were pretty confident that there was not going to be no guards, but people were videoing it out of the windows of their house and caught the guards like running after lads. Everyone scattered, and the social media response was, "Oh, there's a whole lot of fucking knackers in Tala. Scumbags and knackers were the words that were used, and people were vilifying, saying you shouldn't use scumbags, it's derogatory. You shouldn't use knackers, it's racist towards travellers."
I understand the knackers thing, but scumbags?
Scumbags,
is
you don't-
derogatory? How's that derogatory?
Because it was calling everybody in Tala scumbags, and
Are
that
they
it's-
sorry, so not talking about... But if you're
but
just saying
people
guys who
people
knocks
don't
down
like the
supermarket.
word scumbag. And I was nearly going to get in on it and go, do you know that it actually is like a slang word for a sanitary napkin?
Well, yeah.
That's what a scumbag is. And people are all like, no, you can't be calling people scumbags because
Scumbag, like, I don't understand it because I know where they're
Yeah.
coming from with knacker because of what when people originally used it, they meant fucking travellers.
yeah, but a knacker is
scumbag-
somebody
a
who
scumbag
takes
isn't a-
horses into a
Yeah,
glue
a
factory.
knackery, yeah. But a scumbag isn't a class like
No, you're not allowed to use scumbag. Apparently,
That's
that's the politically correct stance on that. The stance of political correctness is don't use the word scumbag because it's derogatory to a whole socioeconomic group of people. And
But
you're
they're
like,
the ones assuming people don't use it just for. People
I don't.
use
I'm not going to
scumbag
argue the other
to-
side of it because I believe what you're saying.
Oh, no, I know.
But that's what they were saying
I
online.
just
man.
haven't heard this argument before.
Oh, it was
so
such
I'm just
bullshit. So
kinda-
people were going online, like the actor John Connors, who was in Cardboard Gangsters, came on and said, it's only a few young lads robbing a bit of food. And the whole of Twitter went mental at him. And bear in mind, like, people in Ireland were stuck in their house for 3 days without any food, stuck with their family. Something had to be vented somewhere. So all went out on Twitter at poor old John. And they were like, shut up, you fucking knacker, and all. Like, gave him the dog's abuse. And I was like, this is really bad. Like, he didn't deserve that.
Yeah, that's not.
And they just started giving him loads of like racial abuse about being a traveller from the travelling community. But it just painted the whole of Tala as like, you know, looting scumbags. And that's absolutely the opposite of true. And it's a very, very, very small contingent that went in there to do that.
Yeah, well, and the fact that because it was Jobstown in particular where it happened, which was also where the water protests were happening a few years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of the media were very glad this happened there.
It's kind of like it writes itself, you know, for liberal media. But it just sounded
But I completely disagree
so
with
bad that
not being able to use the word
yeah,
scumbag.
But sure, look at you, when you're talking about that, it's like you could look at any young lad from Tala in a tracksuit and go, he's a scumbag, when he could be like a real good student, but he just dresses like that and looks like that. That was the whole thing, that they're painting that whole group of people as, you know, social degenerates who rob a fucking supermarket. Like,
I saw a good one actually that came out of the response to that, and it was a thing on Twitter about basically a bunch of L1s that were bringing out tea and coffee to the guards and stuff when they were there to keep them warm because it was really cold. And it was one of the guards basically going like, thanks for all that and stuff. It was him saying thanks. And it was just like, that's the thing about, I was talking about old Dublin and the community.
Yeah.
It's like you do get, particularly with L1s, they're just like Irish mammies, like they're just the best for that.
do you know what I want to know is though, where them fucking L1s got the milk to give the guards?
I know.
tea?
They probably had 9 litres on their
They
shoulder.
were the ones
hoarding it. That's what they were.
in a snowstorm.
Social
It's
capital.
like at a gold mine. The richest man is the man at the door selling shovels.
Yeah.
It's the L1s with bread and milk in a snowstorm. But I just think that, like, you can't say much. Like, it's a fucking business, right? And a load of people went, hey, you know, these lads have ruined the jobs of 40 people in a place where there's not a lot of people working.
Well, yeah.
Right? Whether that fact is true or not, I couldn't tell you the percentages. That's what I mean.
But either
That's
way,
what I meant by I couldn't.
But jobs going
Anywhere, yeah. But what they're saying in that argument is, and it's kind of a virtue signal, it's like, oh, how dare you knock down a little that's employing 40 people in a place that is like predominantly populated by people who have no jobs. Like, that's not true. Tala has loads of people that have jobs, but there are a certain social, you know, demographic in any community, but there that don't have jobs, and they were coincidentally the lads who did the robbing. And I mean, you know, it polarized the country for a day and a half until we all forgot about it. But there's a lot of people talking some shit, man, about like Tala, and a lot of like classist, racist stuff came out.
Yeah.
And I think it was just all bottled up, and they were like, I want to fucking give out about scumbags. I'm going to just fucking start talking about it.
It was a coincidence of several factors.
It's a pressure cooker job.
Yeah,
like.
it was like Ireland is incredibly class divided, and it's becoming an increasingly unequal society. And there's a lot of that kind of, it comes in kind of waves. Every so often an event will occur and it'll bubble up. Something like you mentioned, the water protests in Jonestown. There was so much hatred like on social media towards those people, those politicians, that area, all this stuff. Yeah. It was there, and because it kept popping up in the news and the courts, like every kind of 2 weeks or so, there was something going on about it.
But there's always a hair up some cunts arse. Like, as soon as that little roof hit the ground, there was people on Twitter going, oh, what's Paul Murphy going to say about this now? Like, Paul Murphy is an MEP for
People over profit.
People over profit. Yeah, he's like a socialist political party or whatever, right? Yeah. In Ireland, just for the people that don't know. And he was the lad that's coming out saying like, don't pay your taxes and don't pay your house tax and don't pay your water charges, and he was getting arrested and going to jail. Specific taxes. Yeah. But like the specific ones that were against his socialist ideals or whatever. Yeah. And it's like, don't pay a government that doesn't give you what you deserve, and there's no point in paying the water tax because they're not giving you good water. And it's all this kind of, it's lovely to hear if it suits you. And people just like go, yeah, that suits me to be that because I don't have to pay that thing then. Cool. And then loads of them still got like €100 rebate from the government. Yeah. To pay the water tax, and then didn't pay the tax, and then didn't have to give back the €100. And then what was it? I think it was. I think it was €33 million they lost by giving out rebates, expecting that money back. They gave it out through social welfare and never got it back.
Been setting up that infrastructure.
So I'm saying you can tell the vitriol that's there. The minute the looking little roof hit the ground, people were going, "What's Paul Murphy going to say about this then?" And you're like, "Is that what we really need to be worried about? Is everybody safe? Is there going to be like a fire?" They put up pictures of a little on fire, and it was the wrong place.
It was an old video.
It was an old video of a little on fire. I retweeted it thinking it was on fire.
Right.
And then somebody went and said, no, that's from ages ago.
Papers ran with it. Like,
yeah.
I saw The Independent had it.
Because I saw that, and I was actually thinking about mentioning that later on. But no, that was a different story.
It was a different story at a different time, a couple of years ago.
It was an electric fire from like 2 years back. Yeah. But it's so easy.
But it's like fake news, like it matched the narrative,
Yeah. Wow.
But it's just, I think, Johnny, that like a lot of people just use that excuse to argue whichever side they want.
I think the little thing was an inside job anyway.
Yeah, do you think so?
Yeah. What's the...
Apparently it was scheduled to be demolished a few weeks.
It was an insurance. Do you know what I heard?
I saw that. It might not be true.
Do you know what I heard? I heard that there was a second JCB that we didn't see.
On the grassy
knoll, and it was coming in.
Yeah. I mean, you can't watch that video and not say it doesn't look like a controlled
demolition.
And the way the JCB hit the wall, it went back into the left.
Yeah, man.
Into the left.
JCB buckets can't melt steel beams. That's what I'm saying. Absolutely, like.
Did Gordo get on okay, actually?
Yeah, he was going. I think he was.
So you don't obviously I want to go into it if he just literally just went into it there. You could relive the whole segment again with me.
But it's nice to hear you're worried. You want to know.
I do. I've never met the guy. I just like his podcast, so I wanted to make sure he was okay.
Well, Darren, you'll have to listen to Disaster Artists to find out.
My God, this would make great radio, wouldn't it?
But no, with his segment, we talked a lot about the stories that came out of the storm. Were mainly focused on a supermarket being knocked down, which I really didn't see coming. I could have never thought that would have been the story.
That was insane. And then, I didn't realize at first what I was looking at, and then I just saw the big arm of the JCB just tearing the wall down of the place, and it was insane. Like, I mean, what can you? And the police couldn't get to the place because the roads they couldn't get there because the roads were covered in snow. Is that right?
Yeah, no, I think that's it. Like, because that's the thing. Like, so for listeners outside Ireland, like Tallagh's a suburb of Dublin that's almost like it's big enough to be a city in itself, kind of, but it's also it's beside the Wicklow Mountains, so it's also like it's surrounded by country, essentially. So it's the type of place that got hit the worst. Like, it'd have been much like Kildare, where you have snow actually covering the signposts up to the top.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would have been impossible for fucking the cops to get out there, which is why they decided to rob a JCB and knock down a supermarket to steal a safe.
It's mad.
When I first saw that video, like I saw the one of them looting it first,
Yeah.
and I thought, okay, well that seems kind of likely, I guess. And then I saw the JCB one, and I just assumed it was fake news. I thought, well, this is just a little being knocked down in some other part of the country. And I was like, and it's just a complete coincidence that it was also snowing when this video was recorded. But no.
No, it was crazy.
And then they were dragging the safe up through the street and trying to crack it with the JCB.
They got some of the guys, though, didn't they? At least one of them, anyway.
Sorry, say that again?
Did they catch at least one of them, or a few of them?
Yeah, I think they got 6 of them.
Oh, okay, right. I didn't really follow it up after.
It was kind of blown out of proportion too, like the idea of it being a crime wave. And I was like, it's bad form, but it's also, they saw an opportunity, so
Yeah.
they've done it. It's not the end of the world.
Boys will be boys. Like,
But I don't mean it like that. It's a really scumbaggy thing to do.
no, it was a real shitty thing to do.
People acted like it represented that entire area.
No, but you don't need to blow it out of proportion. I mean, there's a video of a guy in a JCB tearing down this place. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous. I don't know how common that sort of thing is, but I've never seen anything like that before.
But that's it. It's not common. Like, it's still
This is
like,
very sensational or something.
yeah. It doesn't typically happen during a storm. I did like, though, the people that were like, oh, well, you can kind of understand where they were coming from. You know, cabin fever will do a lot of things to you mentally. And it's like, that was at the Friday night. That's like 2 days into it. Like,
Yeah.
You
No,
need to
these
be-
people, they saw an opportunity and they went for it. Like,
yeah, absolutely. Like, you need to be snowed in a couple of weeks before you go that mad.
were there any shenanigans out your way? To
No,
quote
it was-
a former host.
No, disappointed that there wasn't. It'd have been good excitement, but no, it was very quiet out here.
And the other side of it is, it was just a few lads robbing a safe from
Just
a
a few
fucking
lads
little-
robbing a safe.
It's like, you look at what happens in other countries.
Yeah.
During like fucking
Mass
storms
rapes
like
and
that.
fucking
I
people getting
did notice.
executed.
Have you? You're into big into your conspiracy stuff. So have you been watching the stuff with the Lithuanian police?
No.
Oh fuck!
Yeah.
No, I'm studying
looks
for
like-
I'm studying for a show on identity politics right now. I haven't looked into
So
it. yet.
you know about this, yeah?
This is the
There's
with
like
the kid?
mass assassinations over
Yes,
this
yeah,
kid
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, so I watched that video,
Fucking
which
hell.
you guys might have seen. It was up on top of Reddit. So, do you want to give them a rundown?
Oh, so no, you.
Okay. Very, very, very too long didn't read version here. There was like a judge or a member of the family of a judge accused or uncovered like a high-ranking official's pedophile sex ring thing.
Yeah.
They exposed it, and the whole
Well, first,
power of the
the
state was
father-
like brought down on this family over this.
Jesus.
Where,
Yeah, well, the father who was separated from his wife, his daughter told him, and that this was happening to her, and the wife was she seeing the judge? Wasn't that it?
I don't know.
But that's how it came. It was the father of one of the kids that uncovered all this.
So it's like the paedophile ring got exposed.
Yeah, and the pedophile ring was kind of state officials and judicial officials. So
Isn't it everywhere?
So, yeah.
Same.
But this is the thing. They ended up mobilizing the entire authority of the government to clamp down on this family. And this is a video of this guy. He's like the nephew or something. And he gives all the rundown and he kind of puts it all together chronologically with footage and explaining what was happening. Basically, a huge chunk of the country seemed to mobilize around. It got to the point where they protested around this house. They formed a ring to try to protect this
A
kid.
paedophile ring.
An anti-pedophile ring, I suppose.
So one of the judges was shot in his car, and then somebody else was, and I think the father of the kid did.
As a retaliation for this report? Like,
Well, it was the father.
Well, the thing is,
that's-
at various points in this unfolding, I think it was up to 6 or 8 people have been killed, have been like
the
assassinated,
father was found dead.
and I mean
the father of the girl who
Killed.
reported it.
yeah, there's like several people have been killed who have been involved in the kind of protecting this kid movement.
See the,
Jeez, that's like a Dan
the
Brown
mother
novel.
still
man.
had custody, and after the father was found dead, his sister had the kid,
Yeah.
and the police were trying to get the kid because the mother still had custody. there was like
She was the only witness, like.
It's
hundreds of people from the country just camped outside the house to stop the police.
and then they brought hundreds of police, like many
actually
hundreds of
250
police
cops
to try to outnumber the people to then break through the line, get into the house. They angle grinded the door open, went over and dragged the kid physically out of the house, and they
The only witness.
dragged it into custody.
Yeah, and then it gets even the sister who was minding the kid. She fucking like runs for Senate, and like she gets into power.
Yeah, she runs as opposition, and they create a political party, and they get something like 7 seats in the government, and they're running on the campaign of basically completely gutting the judicial system.
They're the
in Lithuania.
anti-paedophile party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The anti-paedophile corruption party.
Oh
They're
my
trying
God.
to clear out the government, trying to
And
clear
it's
out
not
the
over
police.
yet.
And
Why
this
I haven't heard
unfolding
about this
now.
at all.
This is unfolding now, and I was watching
I
all
feel like
this.
such a bad conspiracy guy.
Yeah, you don't know nothing. You get in school, son. But I was watching all this unfold and was like, fucking hell, like that. The police literally doing the bidding of a paedophile ring.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there going like, okay, compare that to like a few lads trying to break open a safe in Little. I was like, whoa, suddenly we all got a little bit of perspective there.
Yeah.
Because like my particular thing was that when it was on the news, the footage over that Little thing, when the cops did eventually, or the guards did eventually go up and they kind of started trying to pin your man down who had been trying to break open the safe. I was like, I pointed out to my friend as I was watching it. The version I saw online, the camera, the frame in the bottom left, you could see the guard like having a bit of a fucking go and having thrown in a few kicks on the ground. And then when I watched it on the news, they'd framed it shorter.
Yeah.
Classic RT.
We should probably wrap up there because we
Sure.
need to go to the park to.
Yeah.
You can't come with us because you're
fly
attached to
with me. Yeah, I'm gonna be doing a gear porn set of videos for the TCG TV GoFundMe supporters and the Patreon folk. Can I plug my GoFundMe? So I'm going to America in September for a year to make 12 feature-length documentaries. They will be about religion, gun control, medicine, food and health, racism, sexuality, all very broad topics, but you know the way I take a topic and I smear it all over the place and try and find the most interesting parts. Try to go to every state in the mainland United States and trying to talk to people and meet the fans and do all that stuff. So it's GoFundMe.com/TCGTV is the link where you can donate, or you can just find out all the information. We'll be driving around the van, staying in loads of places, going to loads of cities, having loads of crack, and doing a daily vlog. So I'm after investing in a lot of camera gear and this kind of stuff to try and make it as professional as possible. And we're just about to go out and fly a drone now, so there might be a...
It's quite the undertaking what you're doing. So
yeah, I know. I mean, I've been studying for the last year and a half, like studying technique and trying out stuff, and it's just my ambition and my talent and my equipment weren't on par with each other. Right. So now my ambition and my equipment are on par. My talent meter needs about 6 or 7 more points to come up to it, but I have all the knowledge. I just have to get the practice.
Yeah.
Me and Mark have made movies before, and I've made some mistakes and stuff like that. But I mean,
just in life in general.
Yeah.
Well, that's the essential part. You'll never get better unless you try and fuck it up.
I have the vision. That's the difference. A lot of people have the camera and no fucking vision, you know.
True.
And it's on Patreon as well. You'll be getting those videos. So it's patreon.com/thoseconspiracyguys, and you can get all the info there or listen to the podcast. We talk about it all the time.
And you can find you just
hanging around.
Like, or something like. If you see Mark around,
he's over in that woman's house dropping his biscuits.
Well, yeah, dropping biscuits down to the owl ones. Not clearing his path.
Leaving his
you want to find me? Go up the snowy driveway.
It sounds like you got on pretty well. I'm delighted to hear that you.
Yeah, no, I was loving it. I was kind of disappointed then, and then the only thing was like, you know, the way it was like, well, for us anyway, everything was back to normal on Monday, so it was like the ultimate Sunday night fear and edginess. Like it's just like, I was miserable, and then I had a full day on Monday, and I was sick of it. Like
I kind of wanted something not something bad to happen, but I would like to come out with a better story than, oh, well, I was well prepared. I'd already, I didn't need to go and buy food because I'd already stocked up and I was well prepared for everything. I even had snow clogs for my boots. It was, it was grand. I didn't notice it. But that's not an interesting story for a podcast.
So you're going to ring around again and see who got on the shit, like.
So I need to get Shane on here. It sounds like he must have had a fucking traumatic experience. No, I mean, I'm glad to know everybody that's been on the show has done well, but
who else has been on?
I think, to be honest, there's actually only ever been 4 guests on the show. So I got Gordo, and I got you, and I got my friend Mark. I was hoping to get Shane, and I want to cut the Scottish lads from Another Fake Newscast.
Oh
I'm gonna record a segment with them because they got the same storm, but they're in another part of Europe. So it'd be interesting to see how different it was there.
Well, I'm running low on beer. No, I have to. No, I mean just in this can. I mean, I've plenty in the fridge.
well,
I'm not an idiot, Johnny.
Well, do you want to wrap up there? We can stay on, but wrap up the recording there.
Yeah, I think so. I can't think. Don't know if there's anything else.
No, I think we got through all the points. Like I said, I only wanted a short segment. I just want quick segments with everybody anyway. So
basically, the theme of mine was Christmas and gluttony.
Yeah. We 100%. Should remind people that haven't listened to you on the other episode, or episodes, depending on what's released by the time this is released, where can they find you for your other endeavours?
Oh, at the moment, it's youtube.com/openbottle.
Yeah,
so you can find it all.
That's a channel that Disaster Artists is affiliated with, I guess would be the correct term. I'm not sure what you...
Yeah.
Yeah, and so me and Darren have done a lot of videos together. Not a lot. I mean, a lot for us because it's hard to get around to recording stuff. But we've recently done what I think is a very good series of Jurassic Park Genesis, where we build our own Jurassic Park. People that liked our Jurassic Park episode should definitely check that out. And there's other good stuff on there. Okay, so thanks for joining me, Darren. It's nice to know you and yours are alive and well, and hopefully we'll hear from Shane. We'll wrap up there because I need to use the bathroom.
Yes, me too.
And so that was the Year of the Snow. Quite a different episode, but yeah, it was fine. It was better than no episode. Still no sign of Shane. I'm hoping he is alive. I assume he is. I have had text communication with him. That could easily be an imposter using his phone. We've never really established any sort of secret code, secret question to make sure we knew we were talking to the other. But yeah, we should probably revisit that. But if he is alive and well, I will definitely try get him on next week for maybe not necessarily a part 2 to this episode, because I'm not sure there's enough for a part 2, but at least a bonus episode to see how he got on. I don't know why there's been so much mention of Star Wars in this episode, but this is starting to feel like in The Force Awakens, where you keep hearing about Luke Skywalker and you're like, well, any minute he's going to show up. And then he kind of doesn't. Well, he until the very end, but pretty much doesn't. So I guess I really actually have to have him on next week sometime, because if I don't, that would be like if even The Last Jedi didn't feature Luke Skywalker. So yeah, we'll call next week's The Last Disaster, maybe. So picture this as an ending for this episode. Myself walking up a mountain, the Skellig, and I get to the top, and there's a robed figure with his back turned to me, and John Williams music starts to play, and then he turns around and takes down his hood, and it's Shane, and I extend my arm and offer something towards him, and he looks down, and my hand opens, and I'm just offering him a microphone. Hopefully you guys have a better imagination than me. But yeah, so that's it. As always, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, @DisasterArtists. We also have a Discord server, which most of you aren't on. Probably don't even have a Discord, but I would suggest getting it for, not just for us, for our room, but for all the other rooms. Like Not Another Fake Newscast has a room in there. Those Conspiracy Guys has a really active room. There's fucking dozens of channels in there. And what Discord is it's essentially your own, you set up your own server. Well, you can set up your own server if you want, but you just sign up and have a user account. And you can set up a server, which is what we done, which works kind of like your own little chat room. There's different channels and categories for different topics. So we have like the TV and film category, the survival category, and within that there's channels on like, you know, utensils, gear, feckin' tutorials, stuff like that. We haven't posted a huge amount there, but it's starting to build up. And it's really good, it's really fun, and it's the best place to get a reply from myself anyway. We're quite active on Twitter, but Discord is just a nicer way to have a conversation with people. Like I said, we don't have a huge amount of users on there yet, but the ones that are very active. And the best part about having a community like that is we can actually sort of get some feedback on episodes and suggestions on future episodes. I know people kind of do that anyway, but it's a little bit better in Discord because it's not just one person tweeting us and me replying and a kind of, you know, it living and dying there. If you post your suggestions on Discord, other people can chime in and add to it or shoot it down maybe. They probably won't. It's a pretty nice bunch in there, but it's just it's just a kind of a better place to do that. So definitely sign up there. Just copy the link in the description of this episode, and it will give you an instant invite. You can also go and check out our TeePublic store, where there's some cool merch, specifically the Acolytes of Apocalypse Wasteland Original shirt, which is technically limited edition. It's been limited edition for a long time, but that is only because we haven't sold a lot. Once they start selling and we reach a certain number, we have a rough idea in our head of what that would be. It will then we will then go to a standard Acolytes t-shirt. And if you don't want to support us financially, or you can't, you can still support us by heading over to iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts and give us a review and a rating, or even just a rating. You'd be amazed how much that actually helps us. The search algorithm on all these apps takes the rating, the number of reviews, and the star rating into account. So a star rating makes us easier to find for new listeners, and the reviews, well, you read a good review, you're more inclined to click it. But yeah, so I've been going on for long enough, and honestly, this is way harder to do when you're just talking to yourself. Honestly, I feel like I'm actually a little out of breath just because it's weird sitting in a room talking to yourself. So until next week, have a nice apocalypse.